Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Yasharei, Malachei Elyon Melech Malchei Amalachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Tefillah Tidbits on Tuesdays. I'm Rabbi Molly and I'm here with Josh. Hey Josh.
Hey, good to see you again.
Good to see you too. We are at our final Tefillah Tidbits for this season, for our Kabbalat Shabbat season. So today we're going to be talking about Shalom Aleichem, and this is our 10th, well, it's our 11th video, I think, if you include our bonus video. So we've got 10 new melodies, 10, 11 new melodies. So pretty cool.
That flew by.
It totally did. And I think last Friday when I was planning services, I was like, I have so many new Kabbalat Shabbat melodies to choose from. It's so cool. So I'm excited to just sort of keep weaving these melodies into our services. And we're going to be taking a little break over the summer. Josh is going to be heading to camp, but when he's back in the fall, we're going to come back for season 2. So if you have suggestions of things you'd like to learn new melodies for, drop it in the chat. We'd love to hear, or send us an email. So for today, on the topic of Shalom Aleichem. So this is at the very end of our Kabbalat Shabbat section of our service. And this is a poem that's thought to have been written around the end of the 16th century. It comes from the Kabbalists in Sfat, so northern Israel, where there's a lot of mystical stuff going on. And this poem, we usually sing it in our Kabbalat Shabbat service, but oftentimes it's sung around the Friday night Shabbat table when people gather for Shabbat dinners. So it can appear in different places. And so for us, we've gone through that whole Lechado D, the Psalms and Lechado D, and then now this last little poem before we transition to our Ma'ariv service. And it's a simple poem, but it actually evokes a lot of interesting ideas, and it's all about angels, which you might think of angels and think like angels in Judaism, that's not a thing, but actually there is quite a rich tradition, and not just in the Kabbalists, the Kabbalistic tradition, about angels, though they are very interested in angels, but also in the Talmud and in our Torah, we have some of our most important stories involve angels. So this poem is actually based on a teaching from the Talmud, from Tractate Shabbat 119b. There's a little teaching there that when a person is coming home from synagogue on Friday night and coming back to their house, the Talmud teaches that they have 2 angels accompanying them, and you can imagine the cartoons. One is a good angel and one is an evil angel. And as you approach your home, if you arrive home and your home is prepared for Shabbat, the Talmud says, then the good angel declares, may it be your will that it should be like this for another Shabbat. And the evil angel is forced to say amen. But if your home is not prepared for Shabbat, the reverse happens. The evil angel says, may it be your will that it'll be like this next Shabbat as well. And the good angel is forced to respond amen. So this poem came out of this idea of welcoming angels in peace, welcoming angels into our home. And the idea is that we prepare our home for Shabbat, and we prepare our home for the angels, so that the good angel is able to say, may it be like this next Shabbat, and then presumably every Shabbat after that. And then we have to say amen to that. And so just kind of an interesting idea. But but it's, whether or not you believe in angels, or how you understand angels, just kind of an interesting idea for how we set the tone for Shabbat for ourselves, that each week we have the opportunity. And it's so hard. I don't know about y'all, but even working from home, you would think like, well, we're home all day, we have plenty of time to get ready. But by the end of the week, it always feels like a mad rush to get things ready and make it feel special and different from any other day in the week. And so I guess this is one way it's one way to motivate us.
Story. That's a beautiful story.
Yeah,
I love that. It kind of reminds me of momentum. It's like it's easier the more you practice, the more it becomes routine. So you throw yourself off 1 week, it could have a month-long or a year-long repercussions.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And exactly. So, and I like also, it doesn't have to be in the Talmud. I think it says 3 things, that that your table is set and your bed is made and that the lamp is lit. It's not like you don't have to go crazy, but just doing a few things that you perhaps wouldn't normally do to set that day aside. And then, like you said, that you create the momentum for the habit. So, all right. So I think most people probably, if they know a Shalom Aleichem, they know the one by Rabbi Israel Goldfarb, the one that we often do in services. And today we're going to learn a different Shalom Aleichem. Did you even know there were different Shalom Aleichems? I did, but
yeah,
there are. Turns out that one is not, from Sinai.
Yeah, I can think of at least 3. But that one we do pretty much every time we do it at synagogue. We do that tune, that melody you were just describing. And this is a beautiful one by Shmuel Brazil. And I'm gonna do it with mashed up with a song maybe some of you know by the band Train, who the lead singer of Train is a local guy from here in Seattle, Pat something, and yeah, maybe we'll talk about that afterwards. But I love this melody, so I'm going to teach it here, and it's very repetitive. So once you hear the first one, you'll just we're going to do it over and over again, and you'll catch on to it. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Yashare, Malachi Elyon mi Melech Malchei Amalachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Yashare, Malachi Elyon mi Melech Malchei Amalachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Ay ay ay. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Yashare, Malachi Elyoni, Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyoni, Melech Malachei Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Yashareh, Malachi Elyoni, Melech Malchei Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Ay ay ay. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachi Yashareh, Malachi Elyoni, Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bachuni L'Shalom, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyoni, Melech Malchei Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. I feel as drowning in a sea spilled from a cup. When there is no place safe and no safe place to put my head. When you feel the world shake from the words that I said, I'm calling all angels, yeah. I'm calling all you angels. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyonim, Melech Malachei Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyonim, Melech Malachei Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu.
Thanks, Josh. So,
I have to say that because I was teaching it, if people don't know it, that I was reading lyrics, the text alongside of it, and there's a mistake in them. So I said, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaShalom, a couple times in there, and I just want to make sure people know that it's Malachei HaSharet. And it was hard for me to say the right ones when I was reading this that I just copied off the internet. You got to be careful with the internet, but it's important. I hope people know that the second line is Malachei HaSharet, not Malachei HaShalom. So excuse me for that.
no problem. I know that there are some variations. There are people who have adapted the poem, the words of the poem. So there are some different versions out there. So
it might have been correct according to one version.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So you did a little mashup there. And I know that we've done several mashups this past year with different prayers. And so I'd love to hear, I think that this is something that you've brought to TBT more recently, this idea of the mashup. So I'd love to hear your take on it. Is it controversial? Is it not controversial? Is it, I don't know. What do you think?
I'm definitely a mashup guy. I love the mashup. I'm a camp guy, and it's really useful at camp to show, youth that, here's a song that they already love to sing. And sometimes it's hard in tefillah to get everybody involved and kids, you went to Schechter, you probably remember the people wanted to skip services. It wasn't necessarily the thing they skipped go to, they skipped from. And so I think we've done a great job over the years of making them more enjoyable. And mashups have been a great tool for that. But I think more than just making it a fun thing, a pop song that people like, it's really cool to me to see these ideas and these values in our tradition reflected in outside, traditions as well, to see the universality of what we're singing about, whether it's peace or it's we Hashki Venu, I've mashed up with Stand By Me because we want that feeling of security, which is universal. It's not unique to our tradition. And we say Shalom, we can mash it up with One Day We'll, by Matisyahu, we'll have peace. And this song just seems so perfect to calling all the angels as we're welcoming them in on Shabbat. And so to me, it's not controversial, although I don't have smicha. You're going to have to make the official ruling on whether they're controversial or not. I know a lot of people are like, those are separate things. But the last thing I want to say about it is I feel equal parts. The question they used to ask us, when I did youth group or on my Israel trips, are you a Jewish American or are you an American Jew? It didn't matter to me. It's like, I'm a Jewish American and an American Jew. And for me, that tradition of American folk music and pop culture and all that kind of stuff, and Yiddishkeit and well, not just Yiddishkeit, but Jewish tradition and all the music that grew out of that as well, are like sewn into the fabric of who I am. So like
Yeah.
it does add something for me.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing about the Jewish American Jewish, and I was thinking like, give me a children's book or a movie and I can tell you what's Jewish about it. Like, there's so there's that sort of that there are people who look for the Jewish thing in everything, and I feel like that it's what I like about it is that I'm a firm believer that Judaism is meant to be about how we live our lives. It's not just about what happens when we're in the sanctuary or, davening together. And so I like the idea of bringing in other things from the rest of our lives, so that then when you hear on the radio or whatever, this song comes up, that's like, it brings a little Jewish moment into your day that you wouldn't have had otherwise. So I like that tie-in. And I also think it brings out things. It either like expands the idea of the theme of the prayer. It helps people connect in different ways. Even if you know Hebrew, or even if you read the translation of prayers, sometimes you read the prayer and you're like, okay, it's about angels, but then when you add in another element of connecting it to this song where it's like, oh, it just brings in a different perspective. And so in my Talmud group, we were just recently talking about we read the passage that talks about putting a fence around the Torah. And the idea that in rabbinic law that there's the Torah law, and then you put a fence around it, you make things even stricter to help protect, to make sure that people don't accidentally mess up. And we were talking about how tricky it is as liberal Jews to decide what is sacred, like what are our fences, because we do have a lot of freedom to play with stuff, but then I think there's also value in defining what is important to us. And so for me, like personally, I have been to some of these services where it's like all English prayers, or all English songs, like a Disney Shabbat or whatever. And those are cute. But to me, I guess where I put my fence around this is like, I still want the actual prayer. Like I want that. So that's what I like about the mashup, is you're not necessarily compromising on giving up the liturgy, but you're adding to it.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And a lot of times when you do simply translate it into English, it's not expanding upon it. It's not adding another perspective. And often it's not very poetic when we just simply like the Hebrew works so well in Hebrew, and the poetry is so rich that to translate that Hebrew to English, you lose something in a way that using English poetry or verse from a song like even Train, like maybe they're not Shakespeare, but they're phrasing things in a way that I think, it just expanded upon it that in a way that it wouldn't have to just translate it to English. And I feel less comfortable, this is just me, when you just translate it to English, and so much of that is a holdover, I think, from like the 50s, the way the Siddur was translated, where we're using words like Lord and stuff that doesn't feel like my own tradition. So I feel more comfortable singing about spiritual concepts from pop culture in English in some ways than I do, translating the words from Tefillah into English. That to me feels less Jewish, even though it's Jewish prayers. And I don't know what Jewish is, and everything's Jewish. I don't know if you know what I mean by that, but I like the Hebrew and I like, anyways.
Well, the last thing I'll say is that I don't know why, as you were singing, what I thought of was this past year for Hanukkah, I have a tradition each year, a loose tradition, that I pick a theme and I watch a movie on that theme every night of Hanukkah. So this past year, I watched a different Christmas movie for every night of Hanukkah, because, why not? American Jew, or Jewish American. Yeah. And, so one of them was that Dolly Parton movie, Christmas on the Square, I think it's called. It was her new Netflix. It was on Netflix. It was her new Christmas movie this past year. It was so bad that it was just amazing. But anyway, Dolly Parton plays an angel, and that was by far the best part about like a Dolly Parton as your angel. Like, so anyway, I like this Shabbat, as I think about if I have a good and evil angel on, accompanying me, not that I'm going to the synagogue, but It's going to be Dolly Parton. She'll be my
I think
angel.
Dolly's she could be the good and the bad
Maybe,
angel.
yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for our first season of Tefillah Tidbits. We have had a lot of fun doing this. I hope you have enjoyed watching them and singing with us. And join us this Friday, please, for our Shabbat service at 7 p.m. We'll include this Shalom Aleichem. And then maybe at some point, Josh, I was thinking it'd be cool if we did like a Shabbat service where we cut down some of the other stuff and do all of our new full Kabbalat Shabbat service.
I would love that.
That'd be kind of crazy. We should do it. So, all right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Josh. We'll see you later.
Thank you. Tune in to season 2.
Yeah.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Yashare, Malachi Elyon mi Melech Malchei Amalachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu.